we're back again, and our super soul sister today, of course, is Brenda Akia. She's a human activist and lawyer, and of course she's the first to represent us as a country in the UN Committee on Elimination of in regards to issues of women and discrimination of women. And this is something that is quite dear to us here, you know, the name being Super Soul Sisters. And we're focusing on women issues, of course, women to work alongside men and help improve or give women their voices. Now, I must say we are quite honored, Brenda, for giving us your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to
You look lovely.
Thank you so much. So
you clearly represented. She said, "I'm going to go in my Ugandan outfit." Yeah. And
Ugandan and Africa,
very,
continent.
Yes, African continent at large, and that's very cute. I see you have your medal there. We're going to get into that conversation. But thank you for making time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. Now, before we get into who you are today, where, and all those things, let's find out who Brenda Akia is. Who were you born to? And, you know, we get through that story. We don't want people to tell your story. It's, you know, quite often they're mistold.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But welcome.
Thank you so much.
Indeed.
As you said the name already, I was born Brenda Akia.
Okay.
But because of my defiant spirit, I didn't like Abeja, because everyone used to call it in the local dialect, Abeja, or something in that regard. So I dropped Abeja to the dismay of my parents and maintained Brenda Akia.
Okay.
I was born on 22nd March in 1986.
Okay.
And then I was born to let James Duque and let Rose
Duque
as well. Yeah, and they both taught at Makerere. They taught at Makerere University.
Okay.
So I grew up in Makerere.
Oh.
Yeah.
That must have been interesting, the childhood. Yes. Are you the only child, or you're quite, you have siblings?
No, we are 6 in total. I'm the second born. The eldest is Godliver. I'm the second born. Then my sister, who is Pamela. Then my brother. And then my 2 little sisters. One is Aisukali. My sister is Godliver, the elder one. Then I follow her. Then Pamela, Emmanuel, and then Aisukali, who is 17, and Elite, who is 14.
Okay.
I have 2 kids.
You have 2?
Yes. Emmanuel Odongo, who is 7, and Asante Akia Odongo.
Okay, those are now your kids. Okay, good. That's very good for us to know your family tree. But real quick, what was your childhood like?
Wow.
You did mention both your parents being late.
Yes.
I hope you were able to see them anyway.
Oh yes, yes. I had such. Actually, they laid the strong foundation for who I am, who my siblings and I are. I must mention though, when my parents passed, we got adopted by my mom's brother, so that's how the other 2 come in. Okay. Because those 2 are my uncle's kids. Yeah,
but you know,
when you get adopted legally, they become your siblings. So I had an awesome childhood. I grew up at Makerere University, as I mentioned. There was a swimming pool, there are lots of soccer, there is St. Francis. So I played a lot. To be honest, I miss my childhood a lot because I played and I played. There's no game I didn't play.
You didn't play, yes.
I played, and that is why to date, where I live, I play a lot with children. Or each time I play with kids and people are thinking, oh, she loves kids. No, it's because I miss that.
You miss, you're like, this is what I'm
playing. I miss playing. I miss running because I run with my son a lot. I run around with my daughter and other kids. So people are saying, oh, she's so good with kids. No, I'm just reliving my childhood. Yeah, so I really had a very good childhood, and I did a lot of church. I grew up in church a lot. So God and I are very, very, very close.
Very close, yes. So when you say university, I'm picturing, were you able to spend enough time with your parents? Because, you know, being lecturers, that must have been quite a crazy timetable. What was it like? What were they like? What do you remember about them?
My mom actually was very extremely hardworking, and I think I draw that inspiration and the hard work from her, because she started as a primary school teacher, went on as a tutor, and then continued upgrading, and then did her master's in national environmental resources. So before climate change was climate change, she was already
into
she was already into climate change. But I got my mom passed when I was 16, so I had a significant time with her. It's my younger siblings that really didn't have, but to be honest, my dad and my mom were super hardworking, and of course my dad passed when I was 12, so most of the times was spent with my mom. But my mom was so hardworking; she never ever gave up. You can imagine, because I grew up in a very, very humble background, extremely humble, and I guess people who see me who I am today must be saying, "Wow, okay." Like, education is really the key, because when you get educated, you're able to transform your life, and you're able to get away from so many aspects that you were labeled. So my mom was extremely hardworking, as I said. She used to do climate change before climate change became a thing. And she really instilled in us the aspect of work hard, never give up, but dream big. My mom dreamt big for my siblings and I must say my siblings are extremely successful. And that is based on my mom dreaming big. She said nothing is impossible, and I think that's why I continued to keep pushing my boundaries, because my mom, I always had my mom saying nothing is impossible. But I must mention an interesting part about growing up, which also led me to take the path that I took in regards to advocating for women's rights, is I didn't like any housework. I honestly, I didn't cook, I didn't clean, I didn't nothing, because I felt that because my cousins, not my mom, but usually cousins or aunties who come to stay at home would say, you can't cook, no man is going to marry you. You can't cook, how will you run your home?
So they always attach it to that.
Right, like, they always attached it. So for me, it became defiance. I was like, fine, if it's about a husband, I'm not going to cook, I'm not going to clean, I'm not going to wash the dishes. And then I focused more on the outdoors and things like, because my mom would make jam, or she would make sausages, or she would make kurags, and then I had to sell that. And so she realized, thankfully my mom didn't take it personally in terms of, because you know, growing up then, if a girl didn't know housework, oh my goodness.
Oh, that was a story,
right? But for her, she took it in a good stride. She realized that Brenda's strengths are not in the house.
She wants to do business,
and she wants to do. So she really gave me her stuff to go and sell, and I would go and bring it back and stuff. So just in a nutshell, that was me, full of defiance against the housework and those norms.
Oh, we can see why you're a lawyer now. But anyway, let's go back briefly. Let's go back. What schools did you go to?
Okay, I remember all my schools.
Okay,
do you remember
that is good. Yes, I do. You know, some people go like, that's a long time.
I don't even know if it's still there.
Exactly. So, where did you go in, like, maybe nursery school?
So I went, because I grew up in Makere. I went to Makere Child Study Center, which is right below School of Education, where my dad used to lecture. And then I went to after Child Study Center, I went to Buganda Road Primary School. Oh, okay. We used to walk all the way from Makere to Buganda Road. To Buganda Road, God. In the rain, in the heat. But it was
kids today don't have those stories, do they?
Kids, man, many times they don't have. But it's very interesting, because many people I see now, we remember, because we used to walk that direction. Then I went to Our Lady of Good Counsel Gayaza.
Oh, okay. So let's first go back. You were studying right next to your dad. Yes. So when you'd finish class, what did you do? You go straight home, or you first showed up to his?
I remember, because my dad had a driver then, so it was a van, you know those, I don't remember if you remember those vans that were grey or cream, or anyway, I don't know if you remember those vans, but I remember most times there would be that driver who would come and pick us up, pick me up actually, and then we'd go in it. Or sometimes I'd walk with my dad, but all I remember is always being in that van.
But and not going home straight, or
I don't. Or would sometimes walk. They'd send someone to pick me up from school.
Indeed. Okay, so now then you go to Buganda Road. You used to walk every morning.
Yes, we used to walk every morning. Every morning and to and fro.
To and fro, yes. With your siblings.
Funny enough, no, because not with my siblings, because they were way younger. My sister is about 6 years younger than me. She was born in 1990. So I was born in 86, so she's 4 years older than me. But I never ever walked with my siblings. It was always my older sister and a couple of friends, because in Makere there are so many flats. There were so many kids there. I think we're over 70 kids inside Makerere, lecturers' kids. So many of us went to Buganda Road. So that's how we would all walk together.
To
so
school.
we walk in
That
a
must
whole
have been
group,
fun.
and it was so much fun.
That must have been
As
fun.
the rain is hitting you, my friend.
Along the way, I'm thinking you got to school late sometimes. Because along the way, when you're quite a number and you're playing and, you know, you forget, you lose track.
Very focused because you're always at school on time. Then I remember a friend of mine called Eva, that dad sometimes would remember, let me go pick these kids up. Then when we see his car, it would be exciting. We were so excited and ran.
That was so much fun. So you were there for your entire...
Yes, from P1 to
P7.
Yes.
Okay.
I still remember my first friend in P1, my first day of P1.
What?
I'm telling you, it was. And my first friend is we are still very good friends.
You're still friends?
She's called, and we surprisingly found out years later that we share the same birthday, March 22nd, 1986.
Wow.
So she's Tina. Shout out to Tina.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's something. Most people don't even remember the first people they met.
Day. She was the first one. And
how did you meet?
I think we just entered class. We sat together and started talking.
And that was it.
That was it, yeah.
That
and
is
we remained friends
beautiful.
up to about P3. And of course, she got too bougie for me.
You know?
Yeah, she got too bougie and got other friends, but we reconnected later.
Yes,
and now our kids are friends. They have so much fun. She comes home.
Nice.
So
that is nice. That is hard to come by in this day and age. If I'm not, you know.
That's true. But I've been blessed with very good friends, to be honest, and we've maintained a long friendship. For example, in law school, I have my girls who we've been with from first year of law school to now. So that's about 20 years ago. I've already said my age. So
I think your communication skills are also good, because to keep friends from like way back until your life today, that's wow.
I value my friendships a lot. Actually, that's one thing, and I do communicate a lot. Even people, ordinary people, like people who I meet, like I'll meet you now, or I'll stalk you, literally, just to say how
for some reason, it's the other way for me. I'm a communicator, but for some reason, and I don't intend to, you know, I'm just not good at communication.
It's hard. It takes a lot of energy as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're so busy. Look at your hosting.
It's true. But sometimes even when I have time, it's like I'm dealing in that moment. I'm that type of person. I need to work on that. Okay, so
Bambi, don't. Sometimes it gives you peace of mind to just stay in your lane.
I know.
It gives you peace of mind, because when you do reach out, sometimes it's not reciprocal.
Yeah,
or it's
that's
not.
true.
So
that's
it becomes
true.
That's why I value my friends, like those who
stick around.
Yeah,
that is true. Okay, so now you were in Buganda Road 7 years.
Yes.
Yes. That must have been fun.
Don't ask me what I got in P7.
Do you have anything particular in memory that you remember that to date you probably laugh at yourself? Also, how could I do this? Or I can't believe this was me kind of moment. Like a standing out moment for you.
I think nothing in particular that is cheeky or anything.
Yeah.
But what I really treasured so much was the fact that I told you my mom started upgrading. She was a primary teacher, then went to Makerere and then upgraded all the way. And for me was the fact that she taught me in P5. That was really awesome, and she did not discriminate at all.
She was your teacher?
She was my teacher, yeah. So she treated me. Actually, she was more strict on me than the
rest of the kids. Yeah.
So for me, that was very, in hindsight, it was really humbling, because she really remained professional in that regard. So for me, that's really...
So you picked and learned from that. That's very key. So after Buganda Road, where did you go?
I went to, after Buganda Road, I went to Our Lady of Good Counsel.
Of Good Counsel, yes. I can see it. You know, all the people I get here who are Our Lady in Gaza, I was like, yeah.
Mrs. Labuke is awesome, because I mean, she has a different school now, but then she was very, very, very diligent in terms of ensuring that her students were focused, were self-driven, were really key on achieving the goals that they want. And also she was very passionate, because sometimes, as I said, from a humble beginning where sometimes school fees was really tough, she would say no, because my dad taught her in Makerere. So the advantage I had was my dad had lectured most of the teachers everywhere, because he was a professor in School of Education. So having that also put extra pressure. You had to work, because all the teachers knew your parents. And then when student teachers would come, they would say, 2K. They'll not use my name, they'll use my dad's name. 2K, you have to really be focused and stuff. But I think Mrs. Laboke and the teachers in Gayaza already were really, really extremely hardworking and focused and ensured that that they instilled in kids that self-driven aspect, that you don't need to be reminded to do something. You need to know when you're supposed to do something.
And how.
Exactly. Not again to be told, now you've not done this. Now again you've not, you know how
yes,
it is.
Exactly. Okay, that must have been interesting. So you were there on A level?
I was there for 4 years.
Oh, for O level.
For O level,
yes. But what was that like, your experience, knowing that I'm now in O level? I need to probably figure things out on my own. Because, you know, once you reach high school, parents are sort of like,
you know,
you now need to figure things out.
Exactly.
You know how you're using your money, know how to use your grab, you need to have social skills, all of these things. Was it easy for you to adapt to, because it's boarding school?
Yeah. Just to say, by nature, I come off as very friendly. I fit in very easily. You throw me anywhere, I believe so. I really believe that I do fit in. So going to boarding school was awesome. When I joined Our Lady, it was awesome because I met my neighbors in Makere. There was Manuela, there was Kathy Apollo, there were many in there. So it was really like home away from home.
Yes.
But the aspect and boarding was nice. As I said, Mrs. Laboke really did, and the teachers really did a great job of making us feel at home. And the teachers were also very, very tough in regards to academics. Yeah. So that one was, and of course, my mom was a no-nonsense. So there was no way you were
I can imagine.
There's no way. That teaching background. Yes. Yeah, but in terms of how I been at school, I hated waking up. Oh God, boarding school for me was really not. I wouldn't do it again, to be honest, because I mean, it teaches you that independence. It's great, especially when you want the kids to build the resilience, to be independent, to make decisions on their own. It is perfect. But as I said, I'm not the kind of housework person. And you know, in boarding school, you have to mop, you have to clean, then you have church at this time and at this time. But I'll tell you, I did, much as Our Lady is a very staunch Catholic school, I rarely went for mass.
I know.
No, I didn't go to church because it was very early at 8. And I'm thinking, we've been waking up at 7.
Yes.
Okay. Many people used to wake up early.
I understand, yes. And you see, people have this mentality, unfortunately, oh, if a girl can't this, if a girl can't that, that is like our standard of success.
Right.
And it's so sad.
And you're supposed to build everything because of a man who's supposed to marry you. How will you'll embarrass us in our in-laws' home?
You can imagine, like, they've taken you to school just for who will marry you.
You know?
Not about...
Thankfully, my parents didn't drive that part, but it's the people around. It's
obviously the society. The society, and sometimes we are moved by... Oh, a lot. Almost every time. And when you're vocal,
ooh, she's big-headed.
Who will take that one?
And what you say is exactly true, because even me growing up, oh my God, everyone's like, that girl is big-headed.
She's too out there.
She's bad-mannered. She's like, literally, and they start to label you.
It becomes hard because now mothers of sons are training their sons the same way. Exactly. If you're a vocal person, the man is like, you know. However, there's very many who have been brought up different, and I hope many more mothers can bring up their sons different. So when you said only O level at Gayaza. So where did you go A level?
A level, because I was very, very stubborn. I'm sure my uncles who are watching are like, Brenda did. So I made it to my first choice school, which I won't mention. But then my uncles are like, no. Brenda is very stubborn. She needs to be disciplined. She needs to be this. We need to throw her in a very staunch Catholic school where there are nuns.
To sort of tame her.
Right, to tame her, but also to help her, which I understand, because I think when you're too strong-headed as well, sometimes you also need to realize that, my friend, there are rules sometimes you need to follow, there's authority that you need to follow. Not every time when authority says something, you're like, no, I'm not doing it because I do not want to. And
sometimes you need to.
Exactly, sometimes you need to really follow certain rules because they help you. So I went to Rubaga Girls.
Rubaga Girls, okay.
And to be honest, contrary to what my uncles thought, the nuns were awesome. It was even less strict than Our Lady. Exactly. But because Rubaga was great, the nuns, Sister Vianney, Sister Tusime were really awesome. And it's interesting. You drive, there was so much self-drive in Rubaga.
Okay.
And I think maybe also because I was in A-level and you're very much...
Yeah, you now know what you know what your goals are a bit.
Exactly. I think that's what it... Because you know, if I fail S6, that is it. I'm not going to make it. Or so you focus. Eh?
Yeah.
Was that your same experience for A-level?
Yeah, most definitely. I was a totally different person. You know, you reach there and you're also thinking, is this me? You know? But that is good then, because within that journey between the O and A level, at the time, I don't know about people today, there's a lot of guidance in terms of, oh, if you want to do this, maybe focus on that. And by that time, you know what you want. You're not confused. I used to have a friend who was confused between sciences and arts because she did all of them well, but I was like, no, what's the one you really want? You know?
It's weird, especially when there's that bias of you need to do sciences,
says you need to do this. Exactly. So what combination did you do in A-level?
I've been always lucky. I've always known what I want.
Yes.
Whether someone tells me this and stuff, but of course that doesn't mean I don't seek out guidance. And exactly what you spoke about in terms of a lot of guidance. So what I did for A-level was I knew from day one that sciences, no. When my son laughs because I can't even add 1 plus 1.
I know.
Sometimes 1 plus 1, I'm like 1 plus 1. Okay, 2. But I did history, economics, literature, and divinity. Yes, so those subjects for me were, because I knew I wanted to do law school. Actually, my dream was to be a dancer, but I thought law would be my other option, like it was my second choice. So, because if I felt like if my mom was around, she'd have said, yeah, put dancing. Because I wanted to go to Namasagali. She was like, yeah, you're going to Namasagali. Then when S1 came, she was like, Namasagali, where? But so I did LD because I was really focused on going to law school. To go to law school, rather. Okay, so were you like a prefect in school? Did you hold any kind of positions? Or you were sort of like, let me stick in the background? Like so in O-level I didn't at all, because O-level was in my own world, having a good time with my friends, you know, pretending to be focused. But I must say, before I say, for me, you asked me about a highlight about Our Lady. When I in about O-level, for me that's the time my mom passed, and it was before the final exams, and she came a week before to tell us, next week I'm going to die. Please, you guys, you need to be strong in it. So she came 1 week before. Yeah, she did.
She had, like, because it's usually people who are maybe...
No, you know, there are people who are gifted with premonitions. Is that the word, yeah? So she somehow knew. She always knew when someone was, even like a week before, she always knew when someone was going to die, and she'd come and tell you guys, this is going to happen, this is going to happen.
Oh, that's a gift.
So, yeah, I think it was a gift indeed.
Yeah,
but...
And she knew she was not going to be around.
No, she came in 1 week later, 1 week before, and told us, next week, by Wednesday, I don't think I'm going to be alive, I'm going to be dead. I need you guys to focus. I've already talked to Uncle Alfred. He's going to adopt you guys. Everything is going to be great. You'll be at school. Uncle Alfred got this covered. So don't worry about anything. All I need for you guys is to stick together, continue working hard, and dream big.
And this is when you're at Our Lady?
Yes, in S4 towards exams. So that whole week too, I was just literally crying. And my friends asked, why are you crying? But I couldn't tell them exactly because I knew when my mom says something like this, it's going to happen. And and thankfully my sister had joined me from Nabisunsa there, and also she was like, whoa, we are finished. We are finished. Because she knew so.
I can imagine the feeling now. You're confused. You're hoping it doesn't happen, but
I knew it was going to happen.
She's usually saying these things and they happen.
I knew it was going to. I was deep, that's why I started crying before it actually happened.
Oh dear.
So that when it happened, I didn't cry. So watching her move away from Asebai was one of like, it was really, really hard. Yeah, but it was interesting. I think because she mentally prepared us.
Yes,
She was so worried about me because I was, as I said, I was very big,
stubborn,
strong-headed. If I didn't want to do anything, I will not do it. And she was worried that it was hard for other, and she understood.
When she's gone, you made
other people may not understand
you.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's quite. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So back to A-level.
Yes. I'm still like drawn into that moment. But yes, so A-level you do a healthy knowing you want to do law.
I want to do law.
Yeah. So then you go to Makerere, right?
Yeah. So I do law, and also in Uraga as a prefect, as the education prefect. I don't even know how I.
How are you education prefect?
You know. You'll be laughing. Did you hold any position?
Yes, but mine were also strange. Okay. If I told anyone, they'll be like, how? Because health.
Oh, wow.
What? I even had no clue. But anyway, so when you did, when you're education prefect, of course, it adds some, something to you in school. It gives you more responsibility.
Yes, it does.
The teachers are looking at you now also,
And the fact that your education, it means you have to excel.
Thank you.
You cannot be there saying education and now you're grasping.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that
the pressure.
The pressure. That pressure.
The pressure.
That pressure. And I remember on top of that pressure, then the pressure that my dad had taught most of those.
Oh,
so they were not calling me Brenda, they were calling 2K.
So you had to stand up for.
Exactly. So I really had to ensure that I did not disappoint the teachers and also my parents.
And yourself.
And myself.
And you got your points to do law.
Oh, it's myself, yeah. But me, I was like,
sometimes, you sit back, you're like, I wish. So when you go to law school, it's what you wanted?
Yes, so I joined Makerere University for law. And I remember I was not, I joined Makerere for, I was going to say I was not there because I was in Canada, but then I had to come back.
You came back,
a different story. I'm sure you'll edit this part out. So I got the points after Uraga, I got the points for Makerere.
Wait, you didn't join on time?
I did.
You did? Okay.
I did. No, my application process was taken.
Oh, okay.
But I was supposed to study somewhere else. Thankfully, with also the fact that also my classmates were very hardworking, they wouldn't let you be there sleeping.
I know. I had friends like that. They would get you, come, let's go read.
And prefects were sleeping in their own room, and all these prefects were excelling. I said, hey, I cannot.
You cannot be the one who's left behind. Yes.
Exactly.
So when you get your law points, you go for law, you get your application is accepted. That must have been exciting.
Yeah.
Or you are dreading the process a bit?
No, I was very excited because as you know, A-level, there's that pressure of if you don't make it, that's it. That's why when I see P7, S4, I'm like, you guys, you don't have to be worried about anything. It's S6
the biggest problem is S6.
Because it's the bridge between college and remember, college or university. And remember, that now is what defines your future. Okay, not really, but it
does play huge.
It defines you in terms of the path, the career path you
take,
or for me S6 in my view is really the hardest part.
So
but I made it to law school. Law school was amazing. I used to
because we hear all the stories when you're doing law there's no time for social life. There is no time for
those people get first class. I think
people are like, I need a first class and that's it. So, but you enjoyed yourself in school.
I did have so when I went to law school, Makerere, I was sleeping at CCE.
Yes.
And CCE is just like 2 minutes away from Makerere, from law school. And I really, law school was great because one, I made very great friends who are my friends to date. We became
all of them with you in law school?
Yes, all of us were together in law school. So we've known each other, when was that? Since 2005 to date. And we've really seen each other through a lot, even in law school. So it was interesting. And then for me, what I did was, because remember, my mom was very focused. And then my uncle is paying your fees, giving you a really great, my uncle and his wife are giving you a great life. You don't want to keep burdening him school fees.
To make them feel like,
Exactly. So I got a job at Faculty of Law.
In your year one?
Year two.
Year two, okay.
So I started working with HURIPEC. It's the Human Rights and Peace Center. It's part of School of Law of Makerere. So that's when I worked with Professor Joe Loka. I worked with Dr. Rose Nakai, Dr. Kabumba, Mr. Ruweza, Dr. Professor Zahara, who really gave me the inspiration to continue the path that you are taking.
Yes, that's quite interesting. For a very stubborn and strong-headed person, and you said Yeah, and instead making decisions of this kind on your own. Now, a quick reminder, we are at Dotash Exclusive, and of course, it's a beautiful furniture house here, what we call the former WBS building, Spear House, here on Ginger Road. Do check it out. They're able to give us the amazing space. And we are with the amazing Brenda Akia, and human rights activist, lawyer, and of course now she's representing us on a 12-people committee. And I think that is something we all need to be celebrating about. Like she mentioned, yeah. if you want to teach your child to cook, clean, it's fine. If they don't, they can do so many other things. It's not, I think why you are defiant is that they were linking the cooking and the cleaning to your future husband.
Yes, the inequality.
She's not saying it's bad to marry or anything, but we seem to be forgetting that, or we're just today in the day and age we are in, we are still training girls to be wives. And we're not training girls to be working moms, to be working wives, to be members of the society who work and contribute, and
which putting the same pressure on boys to learn how to cook and
exactly we need to put the same pressure on the boys. You know, just in case if your wife is not well, if your children are not well, it needs to be a society. And I keep telling people these things of male dominates, female, they are new. We used to have a society of a 50-50 contribution, and I think this is where we should be headed. Now, real quick, Brenda, the experience working while you were at university, and you said you had it came in 2 parts or 2 projects.
Yes.
If I could point that out, yes.
Yeah, so it was 2-1. I was a liaison officer for Master of Law students from University of Pretoria, and then also as a research assistant. So now when you see people like Professor Oloka on TV, when you see Dr. Kabumba or Dr. Rose Nakai or Dr. Rueza on TV, you're just wowed because they speak so much knowledge, they have so much understanding of the law. Now imagine me who was lucky to work very closely with them.
Yes.
So working with them really opened my eyes a lot to the injustice that goes on, because now as a research assistant we had to travel to different districts to get stories from people on ground on what their issues are, what they're suffering from, how they want access to justice to be improved, do they get the justice they actually need, what rights are being violated that they're facing. So when I go into the ground is really what really inspired me to say that if these people are going through all these rights violations, sometimes they have challenges in accessing justice or getting the justice that they need. I'm privileged to be at a position where I can use their information to push for change. And so that is where my path for human rights issues and criminal law really were defined.
Really came in,
were defined, because growing up, as I said, the cooking and what was just based on injustice, defiance, as like inequality. So now when I came to law school and had that first-hand experience, is when it now really fortified and said this is the path.
And then in time later, you looked at also, of course, because women, when you're talking about injustices, sometimes could be taking top place. So you found yourself engaging more and more into women issues. I
found myself engaging a lot on all like human rights, issues of women, children, and also access to justice. So I must say, although I'm a human rights lawyer, I also have a lot of focus on criminal law. Because I've also I did the legal research as a legal researcher at the ICTR and then the ICC, and then also I now work on climate change a lot. But the thing is, all because they're all intertwined, they're all linked.
Definitely.
So it all can be branded as human rights because in all of them you're respecting aspects of human rights.
And it must feel good now that you're also in the issues of the environment, you know, knowing that your mother was quite passionate about that.
You know, it's so funny, it's so full circle. And I will tell you this, when I got because I got a consultancy to do aspects of climate change and migration at IOM with one of the best bosses, Chief Sanusi, and also my supervisor, Robert. And my chief of mission didn't actually know I was a lawyer. It's
Wow.
only until my campaign that he found out. He thought I had done environmental science because I embodied environmental science. Like I embodied aspects of environmental
science.
Yeah.
So you worked throughout your whole time of being in law school
Yes,
with
so
this with this special team or some team.
Yes, so through my career, I did up to when I went to LDC as well.
Yes.
I continued.
Oh,
to
even
work
for
with
LDC you continued.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they called me back to continue to do.
That says a lot.
No, not really. I think they realized she needs money. Let's call her back.
Okay.
But I think the reason they called me back was also they needed, because my School of Law and the professors I've mentioned are very big on mentorship. So when they identify a person who is really interested in that career path, they really want to continue engaging with them so that they don't fall off the course, but they continue running the course, so that they pass the baton to them and see how these professors have mentored them, so that they do the same to the other. But
so while at LDC, they called you back?
Yeah, LDC, I did go back. But another interesting thing about my career at law school is I got an exchange to go to University of Dar es Salaam to study political science. For Wongozi, it's a big institute. Okay, it's huge. It was huge then. I don't know if it's still. It was at University of Dar es Salaam and in collaboration with University of Nairobi and Makerere University.
I'm seeing your mother, I'm seeing him because she, you wanting to go and learn more and study more and engage more.
No, to be honest, she shaped a lot. She actually, I am who I am because of her.
Yeah.
So we went to Makerere. So they choose Makerere students. They choose.
And you were Mangos.
As a Mangos.
Nice.
They choose University of Nairobi and University of Dar es Salaam. They take you to the Wongozi Institute and University of Dar es Salaam to teach you about Pan-Africanism, to teach you about aspects of fighting for your continent aspects of fighting for your country, all those.
That's important, and we need people to have that spirit.
Exactly, and I was taught by Professor Mukandala, Professor Shivji. These are all renowned. Professor Magoha, who passed on in Kenya, who are all very renowned political scientists and were classmates to the president, actually, President Museveni. So as they were talking, they really inspired me to really put my country first, put my continent first, and put Pan-Africanism. So that experience also at Makerere really exposed me not only to hear the professors at Makerere, but showed me a lot of interaction, a lot of ideas from students from University of Nairobi, students of University of Dar es Salaam.
You engaged, you had some kind of,
we engaged, and we also had internship in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam. And
why did you get the time to do all
They worked us.
Wow.
They were saying that it's 3 months, but you have to work, because when you are Pan-Africanist, you don't have time to rest.
That is true. That's quite true.
You're fighting for your country, you're fighting for the struggle, you're fighting to ensure that your neighbors, you're fighting that your family, that your sister, your brother have a decent life.
So after LDC, you continue with these different programs and different people you're working with.
When I was at LDC, I was still working at TURIPEC, but then I stopped after I finished LDC. So when I finished LDC, which is the Law Development Center, I applied for a scholarship and got a scholarship with the German government.
Oh, nice.
That took me for my master's in international criminal law. So
in between, you didn't search for a job? What? You're like, no?
No. So when I was at LDC, I knew I needed to advance. I needed my master's, because in the field that I was working on, the field that I was very interested in, international human rights, international criminal law, transitional justice, to be really competitive, you need to have an advanced degree. And I was lucky that I also had inspiration from my uncle, who adopted us when my parents passed. He was working at the UN ICTR in Arusha. And then going home to Arusha for holidays, I was always interacting with the lawyers who work at the tribunal. So I knew the only way for me to advance further and really push for ending impunity for all these gross human rights abuses was through advancing. So at LDC, I applied while I was still in school, I applied for a master's.
Okay. So you got, your application was approved, and then you had to travel for that? Yes.
So so as I said, it was by scholarship funded by the German government, the DAAD, which is DAD. We call it DAD. And then they sent us it's a joint program between Humboldt University in Berlin, in Germany, and University of the Western Cape in South Africa.
Okay.
So you do you go to both universities.
To both universities, yes.
So I went and did a master's in international criminal law and transitional justice, and then they gave me a PhD scholarship. But in that process, I got a job, a working opportunity for Human Rights Watch in New York.
Okay. While you were still in school,
yes,
or just okay?
While I was still doing my LLM.
That is
I was
good.
almost done. So now that's when I was ready now to apply for jobs, like real formal.
You're like, at least now I can. Exactly. And then you got the job in New York.
And then I got the job at Human Rights Watch in New York. And then my professor. So I was stuck. I have this PhD scholarship, which is great, and I have the job at Human Rights Watch in New York. But then I figured, as a human rights lawyer, the ultimate place to work for any human rights lawyer, or for most, I'll speak for many.
So as a human rights lawyer, you felt that was the right space to be in?
So as a human rights lawyer, I felt that between the PhD and the Human Rights Watch working opportunity, going to work at Human Rights Watch in New York would be the better option.
So you put the scholarship on hold?
Yes, so my professor was gracious and said, you know what, Brenda, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Go to New York, and then when you feel like you're done, or when we can give you a grace period of 2 years, and then come back and do your complete your PhD.
Indeed. So you worked 2 years?
I worked in New York for 2.5 years.
2.5 years, and then went for your PhD?
No, I didn't.
You're still putting it on hold?
No, I'm done with the PhD, but I transferred. Thankfully, I'm done with my doctorate.
Okay, so
but
when you left the job of 2.5 years?
So when I continued to work I continued to live in New York and work. But then, when I was working in New York, I realized that with all the knowledge I have learned in all these spaces I have worked, the best place is to come home.
Okay.
And when I was also at Human Rights Watch and the other places I had worked, I was always I saw how important the CEDAW committee, the work that they do, and how they advance women's rights. I figured I need to go back to the continent and build that African, because when I was at Human Rights Watch, I was working on Africa issues. I was working on African women's rights.
Okay.
So I'll travel to different countries in Africa to speak to women on ground, rural areas, to hear their story, the rights they're facing, and the challenges they're facing, and what recommendations they would want us to push forward for them.
Okay, so you come back home?
So I come back home and join the ICGLR, the Great Lakes region, the regional body for the Great Lakes, which was an amazing experience because this is a regional body of 12 member states.
Yes.
And what they were working on was exactly something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Women, peace and security, transitional justice, conflict-related sexual violence. And conflict-related sexual violence is something is what my LLD, my PhD was on. So for me, working at the ICGLR is very eye-opening, and it is what showed me why it's important to be at the table, and not only be at the table, but why it's important to have knowledge and competence and be at the table.
Okay. And then you decided, I moved my PhD. You did it while you were in the country.
So because now the PhD needed me to be based in Berlin, I just couldn't. So I decided to withdraw.
Okay.
But when I withdrew, I decided, okay, fast forward anyway, but that was later. So this was about 2018.
Oh, is when you decided to do your...
2018 is when I came back to Uganda, to the ICGLR. And then while in Uganda, I got an opportunity to go to the ICC to work at the International Criminal Court. And when I was at the International Criminal Court is when I wanted to be placed in OTP, Office of the Prosecution, because I was all about prosecuting international crimes. But then, by luck, I was placed in the appeals chamber, which is for the judges. At first, I was very confused. I was like, how am I? I love prosecution. I love putting people behind bars. I love seeing, speaking with victims, But then, I think God has a sense of humor, because when I went he was really preparing me for my future. Because when I went to the appeals chamber, you know how we speak about representation, how being at that table is important when you have the knowledge and you don't know, but I witnessed that firsthand because I saw how the judges of the appeals chamber of the ICC have the power to make international jurisprudence that trickles down to all countries, because what they say is going to be applied in most countries, in most international jurisdictions in their countries if they ratify the ICC. So that's extremely significant. So for me, I drew a lot of inspiration from that, and seeing how the judges act, how much they work. I used to think that actually both ICJLR and the ICC, because I worked with very influential, highly influential people, showed me that those highly influential people that we see actually work. They don't sleep. They don't take a second to say, they don't slack. It's about hard work, it's about resilience, it's about really pushing yourself to do better.
To do more and do better. Yeah. That's interesting. So how do we get to today's position?
So as you see, going
your
back,
experience and going back and engaging, And by the way, the title well deserved, doctor.
Yes, and yet I'm graduating anytime from now.
Still.
So my best part was in December when my Professor Dire, Dire and Professor Bradley, one of the best international law professors, sent me an email and said, congratulations, your thesis. I was like, finally, because I reapplied in 2020 to University of Pretoria. Because now when I had my daughter, Augusta should start writing. So hopefully.
So how are we here now? Let's go to the now that we are speaking so much about and everyone is talking about.
So the now was started about 7 years ago. I keep saying this just to show people that sometimes you just don't wake up
and reach where you
are. You have to put in the work, but also you have to seek out a lot of mentorship, a lot of inspiration from people who are in the process, but also before, who have been there. So for me, this journey of where I am now started 7 years ago when I was at Human Rights Watch, and I was seeing all the significant jurisprudence that the CEDAW committee was making, and how. And
I must say congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations for the committee, for everyone to pick and say yes, we are going to have someone represent us. No, you're not. By the way, you're carrying a flag not just for Uganda, but for the continent.
It was,
and of course, for yourself.
It was very Actually, it's funny, and I'm sure people who also in a such similar position will tell you it's you. When you're there, you realize it's not about you.
It's in service now. It's service.
It is about service. It's about what decision or what step or what am I saying? How is it going to impact everyone?
And we see you have a middle. Yes.
But anyway, let me first.
You're doing well. Yes, as we wind up real quick,
but anyway, so how I got here was 7 years ago, and I really worked, so it was, I saw how the CEDAW committee was working, and then I decided to work and build my competence towards that, because I didn't have it yet. So I took up different positions. I went back for the PhD to ensure that when the time is right,
you are well
I am the right. Uganda will say this is the perfect candidate for us to front. And in 2019 is when Uganda selected me as, it was a selection committee, and then I came out as the one they had nominated to represent Uganda. So we had to seek African Union endorsement, and then when we did African Union endorsement, Africa Union selected me as one of the Africa candidates. We were 4, and then we went to the United Nations for that competition. And I must say the government of Uganda really outdid itself. It worked extremely hard. Ambassador Donia, Honorable Riem, Honorable Jeje, everyone in MOFA, Ministry, Honorable Amongi, because they all had to campaign for me. They really did an amazing job, and that is where we are now.
Indeed. So the final word you want to say out there to our young girls, and you've seen all the stereotypes, you've seen all these things, what you have to say to them in terms of motivation and helping them know that they can achieve?
For the girls, I need to say is where you come from does not matter. You can get out of whatever situation you're in can be changed. But to change that situation, you need to, 1, work hard, be resilient, seek out the mentorship from different people who have been there. Seek out guidance. and also believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, you're able to achieve whatever you want to do, but you're also able to be fueled and have the passion to work really, really, really hard to get to the level that you want to be. But importantly, because many women and girls continue to suffer lots of different rights violations and abuses, I would really encourage women and girls to always speak up. Do not be intimidated. Speak up. If you see something that you don't like or you're being abused, try and get it to the authorities. Speak about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I must say those are good words to take home. But I must say thank you so much.
After
the young girls
graduation.
and boys out there, actually, I hope they pick something. As parents as well, pick something. Thank you so much. Till next time, my name is Rona Kajumba for Super Soul Sisters and the entire team. Good night.